you,
Can I
Mia.
talk about this worksheet we did real quick, Larry?
No, I would like that. Yeah, I think because that was actually a big help for me. Yeah.
Perfect. So Larry asked a great question. He reached out to Morgan. He said, look, Morgan, I'm in my 2023 planning and I have this goal, right? And I have this team. And the question was, I think, Larry, correct me if I'm wrong, how?
Right.
How do I hit my goal? Not why do I have the goal, not what am I going to do, but how? What is the plan to hit the goal? And so we just built this worksheet on the fly for Larry 15, 20 minutes ago for him to actually take his goal, which may or may not be realistic, and break it down into expectations. And so I wanted Larry to use the 5-step problem solving that we always talk about and say, okay, what is the goal? And I'm just going to pick numbers just for numbers' sake. What if our goal is 20 total treatments, 12 of those being upgrades and 8 of those being new patients per month, right? So our goal is 20 treatments per month. I think a lot of the practices here would love to have 20 treatments per month. If you want to be a bigger practice, multiply it by 2. And if we use, 7,000 as an average revenue per treatment, we're at $1.7 million practice. And the yellow spots of this worksheet are what you can fill in and assign responsibility to your team. I also did this with Mia and Devin down in Las Vegas as we tried to break down their marketing, say, where are our treatments going to come from? And in my world, these are really the primary drivers of current patients coming in, and these are really the primary drivers of new patients coming in for treatment. And so Larry, if Larry has 12 lease renewals per month, he doesn't even need to do any of these. That was the power of Allegro and the power of lease and power of recurring revenue was Larry can project that he's going to get 12 patients to renew every month next year based upon the efforts he put in 4 years ago. And he knows he's going to hit this upgrade with just lease renewals. And Sandy's the one who's responsible for lease renewals. And what is Sandy going to do to make sure we hit this number? She's going to pull the Allegro list 2 months ahead of time and call them to get in. That's all Sandy has to do to make sure Larry's practice has 12 upgrades every month next year. Is that a simple how? Is that enough detail, Devin, for you to project where your upgrade patients are going to come from next year?
Well, I could just mention, I don't know, Jared, why this is such a help for me. I tend to have a lot of ideas, but getting clarity about what are specific things to do and simplifying it like this stops me from bouncing around from one thing to another and wondering what to do next, and makes it specific what I need to direct the staff to do. So I think simplification and clarification makes a big difference.
I love it. So what about triage, Larry? Can we like ask Omar to book one person that comes in for a clean-in check or a repair or a broken hearing aid? Do you think we can get one person that walks into our practice to upgrade their treatment each month?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome, right?
Yeah.
So Jared, can I interject something here? Just because I know, and I think I've seen this in, well, I've seen it all over the place with a lot of different owners, right? I think Larry, you're going into a quarterly meeting with your whole staff where you guys are supposed to talk about how you're going to hit your goals next year, right? My fear from an outsider here is I just want you to preface what Larry's going to do first before you start talking about what Omar's going to do and what Sandy's going to do, right? Because I think the whole team's belief right now, or the lack of faith is, can we turn the marketing numbers in 90 green? And Jared's 100% correct. I'm not disagreeing with Jared. The team can help you turn those numbers green, but at the same time, I told you this. If I was on your team, what I would want to know is how we're going to turn those marketing numbers green.
So Morgan, just let me answer real quick. So they came up, they already had their meeting, and they came up that they need 41 leads per week, right? Which has never in the history of Long Island happened. And those 41 leads per week, minus no-shows, minus cancellations, minus treatment rate, ended up with like 5-ish treatments a week. And so you could do the same exact spreadsheet for appointments booked, and you could do the same exact spreadsheet for leads generated. But these are still the drivers of where your leads, where your appointments, and where your treatments are coming from. Larry and I just went all the way to the actual goal, which is treatment started. So yes, we could do the same thing for appointments generated, and we could do the same thing for marketing. Larry already has his plan of he's reactivating his digital ads. He's implementing a direct mail campaign every week for the entire year. Like he's going to share that with the team too, to say, here's what marketing's going to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And that's my only point is you've got to say that first.
Yeah.
Right.
Because the marketing numbers in 90 have the lowest average of anybody else's numbers. So the marketing is the most underperforming in the clinic. And if you skip straight to this, Larry, if I'm on your team, what I just heard you say is if we're going to hit our goals next year, everybody's going to have to work harder.
Right. So we're going to have another meeting in January, but we did have a meeting yesterday, and I think that's such a good point that you made, because I also want to be kind of set an example, right? Kind of be a role model of for taking responsibility, being held accountable, and so forth, right? So I did start out the meeting by saying, here are the ways. Here's the ways that I'm going to work my butt off. Here are the things that I'm going to be implementing, and even here's the time I'm going to block off in my schedule, and everybody can hold me accountable. And I didn't have all the details, but I had the basics. I'm going to fill them in more,
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's all. That was my only point, is just go there first, right? And then I think if you want to avoid some of the mistakes or the shortfalls that I've seen in other practices, I've seen Jared do, and that's part of the point of this group, is to help you guys avoid those things, is when it says underneath marketing, Larry, number 1 is direct mail every week, whether you like it or not, you've got to show the team what that direct mail says. Reese is going to tell you, Jared's going to tell you, Keith's going to tell you. It doesn't matter. The people calling want help in our office. Well, if I work in your office and my boots are on the ground and I'm at the front line fighting for your clinic, I want to know what the mail piece looks like. So the best thing you can do is print off the first quarter if you have it, the first month if you have it. If you don't have it, print off the first week's worth of direct mail, just like we did, Jared, with the study mailer, right? And walk them through. Read it so you can understand it. What is the goal of this mail piece, and how are we going to answer the questions? What if I die? What if I don't want it? What if I want to return? That's how you're going to prepare them for their portion of your marketing money spent.
Right.
Does that make sense? And now you do, like I said, if you don't have the first quarter, give them the first month. If you don't have the first month, give them the first week. If you don't have any of the above, tell them you don't have any of the above, because then we're back to unrealistic expectations on both sides.
Absolutely. No, I think that's really important, for so many reasons, to be effective and to be role model.
Yeah. So that was my only point. As an employee, I would want to hear, well, what are you going to do first? And then once you've, like you said, you've set a good example. You've told me everything you're going to work your butt off. We're going to spend more money. Here's the examples. Now, on top of that, there is more that we can all do as a group. And here's how you guys can pitch in. And that's back to Jared's first yellow squares there, which is 100% true, 100% relevant, going to help you get to your goals. But first, we've still got to answer the most underperforming number in 90 and what the plan is there.
And I think, I always say data drives decisions, Morgan and Larry. So what this spreadsheet worked for was to work through with Larry a process, right? And understanding his data. He has the data. He knows what his conversion rates are. He knows what his phone call rates are. He knows how many leads he's generating. Now we got to work through step by step. And you could do the same spreadsheet for leads generated You could do the same spreadsheet for appointments booked, and then you can do the same spreadsheet for where the actual treatment's coming from. Larry told me he's going to have 12 treatments per month from his lease renewals. Amazing, right? He's going to be $1 million clinic purely by lease renewals because of the work we did 4 years ago. It's amazing. Now, if he can motivate and inspire and build confidence in Omar to focus on, and these red items here, this is what Reese is working with my team next year. So if you're not working with Reese, Reese is going to be working with my team on these red items because there's pockets of profitability in each of our practices to sharpen the saw, to get better, and to turn those into another million. If he can get Omar one treatment a month, just one repair to upgrade, that adds to Larry's bottom line, right? And then what you need to help your team know what they need to do. And this is like, I'm going to make 100 calls a week. I'm going to talk to 12 patients. This is the what. This is the tangible task that you're expecting them to do that will get us this result. Make sense on that one? Is it helping the second time through, Larry?
Yeah, no, it's big help for getting clarity. And I think if people realize what I'm doing, what other staff people are doing, it'll inspire them to be diligent.
Awesome. Do you think if we sent quarterly upgrade mailers like we've done every year since you've been in the group, quarterly upgrade mailer, do you think we can get 12 total treatments next year? That's one per month.
Yeah.
Awesome. Now we're up to 14 treatments per month for Larry. What about newsletters, Larry? Do you have data on your newsletter program? Are you getting one treatment per month from your newsletter?
Newsletters, it's per month. Maybe it's one every other month. Probably could be improved, but we could say 0.5. Yeah.
Awesome. 14 and a half. Now, Sandy makes outgoing calls for you.
Yeah.
Do you know what she's done in the past for booking from outgoing calls? What is her booking rate?
So if she has, when we give her the opportunity and don't interrupt her, right? It's not really a problem for her to do 1 or 2 a day. So if we were really conservative, I would say 2 a day or maybe 1.
2 appointments per day, right? And we're probably are we treating like 33% of those?
Yeah. So
I mean, we're kind of, are we expecting her to do 10 treatments per month from outgoing calls?
Oh, at least, yeah.
Treatments, not appointments.
Yeah, so treatments. So if that's, let's say it was 1, 2 treatments a week. Yeah, I mean, we could say 2 a week. No, not 2, yeah, would be 8. That,
Okay.
I'm being really, realistic.
So I just got you 22 treatments from current patients focused on these 5 action items.
Yeah.
Now I told Larry, now track it for a month. Let me know at the end of January if we actually hit these numbers.
Right.
Because we're probably going to have to change. If Sandy's getting you 8 treatments per month from outgoing calls, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's $65,000 in revenue at my ASP.
Yeah.
50 grand in revenue from you. So if I want more than that, I might need to hire a second Sandy, double her hours there. I mean, that's a profitable bet. That's a profitable trade-off. So how many hours do you block Sandy, Larry?
We're giving her a minimum of 3 hours a day. That might increase, but right now it's 3 hours every day. 5 days a week.
Awesome. Is there anything else you measure? You just block her off for 3 hours, or do you have her call a certain number of people, or what?
Well, right now we're concentrating on her number of hours because.
Perfect.
But there's a reason for that. Is that sometimes when she has a longer conversation, the result is better, more effective than a lot of short conversations.
So what we're going to do to accomplish this number is give her 3 hours of dedicated calling.
But for real, not just
not
interrupting it.
Yeah, and you interrupted her last year, and she took time off sick, and she worked from home, and a family member died, right? So
Yeah.
if we do this and give her the space, we can expect 8 treatments per month. That's amazing. Now we get to new patients, which is where everybody wants to start on. Where do we get new patients from? But Larry's already going to hit his goals for next year just right here. Focusing on 5 numbers, inspiring, motivating, and giving them the tools they need to be successful. But now let's talk about new patients, Larry.
Okay.
You're going to start working with Blue Wing, and I think we kind of told them we want 4 new patients per month, 4 new treatments per month.
Okay.
And you're going to send mail every week.
Right. Which is interesting because that's something we've never done before. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Reese had never run every day, and now he's like 625 days in a row. So consistency here, a consistent mail plan of 7 to 12 touches, hitting those same people 7 to 12 times. I promise you next year at this time, you're going to have better direct mail results than you've ever had in the history of your company, because those same people started to get your message multiple times. But you might not get those same people the same message 12 times till the end of next year. So you can't quit after 1 month. You can't quit after 2 days. You can't quit after 3 months.
Right.
Reese has been doing it 625 days. How many months will Larry do it?
Right. Well, consistent.
Jared, I have a question.
Yeah.
Is Larry going to be doing direct mail to the same patient, exact same patient, with different message each time?
We're waiting for his analysis from Blue Wing to see how many A patients he has. Depending on how many A patients he has, it'll be the same Blue Wing frequency that most of you are doing, which is based upon Larry's budget, based upon his capacity for flow, he'll determine. He's going to send, probably my guess is 4 different mail pieces next year to the same list 4 to 6 times.
Awesome. Okay.
And the messages are always the same. Treat your tinnitus, hear better in background noise, and don't get dementia. The piece might change, the shape might change, the envelope might change, but the message for me has not changed since I met Dr. Darrell.
Right. And so instead of sending to different people, different addresses every time, if it was 4 pieces to the same list, so yeah, we'll have to work with them depending on what the list is. So it's consistency, and they'll be getting the contact from you on a consistent basis.
Yeah, we have to see how many affluent seniors that are A patients are in your market.
Yeah.
And we have to determine how many pieces your cash flow will allow you to drop per week.
Yeah.
Right. And then we have to determine how aggressive you're willing to be. I'm willing to send people mail every month, every 2 weeks. I've heard from our friends up in Canada, they want to do it twice a year, some of them. Right. So it depends on your willingness to be aggressive with your patients, or education based with your patients.
Jared, question.
And yeah.
On the there's a line item in his 90 that says current patient opportunities. It happens to be one of the greenest numbers in 90 average. And the goal is only 3, which seems low to me based on what you just went through. And then the new patient opportunities is like 11. So I think, Larry, where I'm going with that is realize when you get done with this spreadsheet with Jared, and then your data drives decisions, you have your Blue Wing numbers, all that stuff, you're probably going to have to alter some of these numbers, because I think I'm hearing, Jared, your pocket of profitability, the easiest, the path of least resistance, is the goal of 3 current patients coming in and upgrading with you guys. You guys are crushing that goal, but we're leaving it at 3. So that goal should probably get bumped up, and then you might get kicked down to reality a little bit in your area that the new patients or the new blood being added might not be 11, or you're going to have to spend more money on marketing or whatever. But realize everything Jared's saying is going to relate back to 90, and you're going to have to change those numbers at some point.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm going to be going over all this and reviewing, make sure the numbers are accurate and stuff.
Awesome. Awesome.
But the framework is really
Yep.
helpful.
Yeah, Larry came up with his 3-year goal. He broke it down into a 1-year goal. Now he has to go into his vision traction organizer and update the 3-year, the 1-year, the 90-day goals. Then he has to share the new VTO with his team. You're going to see my team do this live. We're going to do a quarterly planning session in Mexico. So you're going to see my team leaders and myself in Mexico live talking about the biggest issues, ideas, and brainstorms that are holding us back from our 10-year vision, our 3-year goal, our 1-year goal, and how to break it down into how to eat an elephant, bite-sized chunks, right? And then Larry does have to also then update his monthly trackable data and his weekly trackable data, and then execute, right? And so what Morgan just pointed out to Larry is you have your numbers backwards. You're expecting way more new patients and way less current patients. But what we just determined is you can hit your goal next year with no new patients. So we have to flip those. We have to have higher expectations of upgrades than new patients. And that's going to be cheaper and more profitable.
And you've got to be able to explain that to your staff.
Yeah.
Because every staff that I deal with, right, what's harder, right? In their mind, what's harder, to sell somebody a new hearing aid again when we sold them 3 years ago and told them that hearing aid is going to last forever? Or should Larry spend more money on marketing? And every employee I deal with says, man, Jared needs to spend more money on marketing. We need more leads. And then you look at the database like this, and if you can explain to the staff how powerful they truly are, how much of a part they really are of that VTO and your goals in the next 3 years, then you can get them aligned with the same goals. But I mean, Jared, correct me if I'm wrong, every employee says we need more marketing. And we just found out with these numbers, with the data, that it's not true. You still will spend money to get new blood, of course, but your team is crucial in your success next year, but you're going to have to go and explain to them what exactly that means, because just because you can do it with your current patients list doesn't mean it's going to be easy. There are people in your database that you sold 4 years ago that are thinking you sold them the Holy Grail. Okay, whether we admit it to ourselves or not, that isn't easy per se. So you're going to have to fill the staff in on how all this works.
Right.
So then we would work through this on new patients too. What is our expectation from direct mail? What's our expectation from digital marketing, referrals, live events, and physician referrals? Right? And what I wanted to show you from my scorecard, right? Here's what this looks like in my weekly trackable numbers in Jared's 90.io, right? I practice what I preach. So here are those line items. Here's how many leads that Josh has to report on receiving per week. Here's how many physician referrals our expectation is that Rachel reports on. Here's how many new patients Luann has to book per week. Here's how many upgrade patients need to be booked. Here's how many triage. We want 5 people per week starting treatment from walk-in clean and checks and walk-in upgrades or repairs, right? And Reese is going to spend even more time in 2023 working on this number, because if I can change this from 5 to 10 per week, how much money did I just add to my practice? From having better conversations, asking better questions, role playing with the triage team, not the phones team, right? My phones team is, we all need improvement, but my phones team has their plan. I know what to expect from them, but now my triage team needs Reese. And then my referrals team, we expect 3 referrals to start treatment per week. It's extremely low for a practice our size, but we need to practice it. We need to train on it. We need to role play it. We need to have trainers come in.
There's a lot of nuggets in there though, Jared, that you just like, I right at the end, I just heard you say you set a goal knowing it's a low goal because you have intention to train your staff so that down the road you can raise the goal later. You didn't set the goal at 15 referrals a week and then say, I'll train you guys later. You started at a low number. Also, for anybody that took notes, screenshots of that, realize that if you don't have your numbers, you need to get on the phone with Jared so he can help you identify those numbers. But what